Blokees has been going from strength to strength, from the Transformers releases to Marvel, and even Saint Seiya. However, if there's one line of Blokees in particular that deserves just as much attention as the Transformers releases, it's gotta be their Ultraman range. It's no secret that Ultraman is immensely popular in China. Why do you think there's so many new non-Bandai Ultraman figures and model kits coming out as of late? But of course, Blokees isn't immune to diving into that rabbit hole. But I suppose they were content with just minifigure-like releases. Enter the Legend Edition kits. Now, if you're familiar with the Action Class line of Transformers, the Legend Edition operates similarly. However, this line is usually exclusive to the Ultraman and Evangelion franchises, and later, the Ultraman manga and Kamen Rider are joining that line as well. But for now, I wanted to focus on their most recent offering from the Ultraman line. Welcome to the Photoverse Project. Today, I want to talk about Blokees Legend Edition Ultraman Noah, the latest addition to the Legend Edition lineup. But before we go further, since I'm assuming a lot of you haven't seen Ultraman Nexus, I'd figured I'd introduce you to Ultraman Noah first. Debuting in the final episode of Ultraman Nexus, Ultraman Noah is the true form of both Ultraman the Next, from the 2004 Ultraman film, and Ultraman Nexus. He is considered one of the most powerful Ultras to ever exist, right up there with Ultraman King and Ultraman Legend. His most recent appearances post-Nexus are in Ultraman Zero, The Revenge of Belial, where he bestows onto Ultraman Zero the Ultimate Aegis, and Ultra Galaxy Fight, The Destiny Crossroad, where he fought against Reboot, Absolute Titan, along with Ultroid Zero. So Noah immediately stands out from a lot of the other Ultras that Hiroshi Maruyama had designed during the early Heisei of Ultraman. It largely stems from the primarily silver color, juxtaposed by the black undersuit and silver lines, and punctuated by the big red energy core as its only source of color. Now, if you're wondering why the energy core is shaped like a letter U, well, that's simply because it's meant to invoke the vibe of the original Ultraman, while at the same time put its own spin on it. This is actually the reason why he doesn't have a traditional color timer. Now, let's talk about the articulation. The head can move up like this, get the flip out of the way, and it can look even further than that. It can bend down like so, and there's some side to side. Not on the head though, since it's due to the nature of the ball joint connection. Move the Noah Aegis out of the way, and thus you can get 360 rotation. Move the shoulder pad out of the way so that it could bend outwards. And here's something that's far more common on Shinkoto Seiho SHFs. Bicep swivels. And then you have a double jointed knee, up and down movement on the wrist, and a wrist swivel. Ab crunch, which can go deeper thanks to the soft parts here, and it can arc back like so. Now, the legs. Hips can drop down like so, and you can get all the range from here. Thigh swivel. Double jointed knee. Interestingly, the top portion of that knee doesn't carry over to here. Up and down on the ankle, and an ankle swivel, as well as a toe joint. Now, on this one at least, the right ankle here is fairly loose in the months since I owned this, so that's something you need to know. And lastly, the Noah Aegis can move back like so and splay out like so. So yeah, it is a decently articulated model, and you can get Noah into all sorts of poses, like what you're seeing right now. Granted, it's very, very bare bones, but this is an Ultra. What can you do about it? A good chunk of the accessories are largely based on Noah's appearance in the final episode of Nexus. This isn't surprising if you collect a lot of Ultraman SHFs, as most of them, apart from the entry-level releases, tend to base their accessories around the character or kaiju's debut in their native series. First up, we have a collector's card. The art on Noah is actually the same on the box. In addition, you have the Ultra sign. It's also present on the back as well. Next up, some hands. Apart from the fists, you have 8 alternate hands. The first pair are open palms, which is pretty straightforward. Beam firing hands, that don't really do much. A pair of alternate open palms, which are rather unfitting for Noah, but were probably included by Blokees as a means to future-proof it for the eventual Legend Edition Dark Sagi. And finally, a pair of gripping hands. This may seem weird given that Noah doesn't have any weapons, but trust me, they will come into play later. You can mount them onto the included stand, which has the pegs attached to the arm. Something I don't think either the Figma stands or the Tamashi stages ever did. The next set of accessories are all effect parts, all of which are tied to his 2 attacks. Again, this is tied to his appearance in Nexus. The first 2 effect parts pertain to the Noah Inferno, one representing the charge state, the other the full attack. The former is one of those parts that isn't on the runner, and is molded in melding colors. Nice touch. Both of these effect parts are mounted specifically on the left arm. Well, technically you can also attach them to the right arm, but they're usually depicted as being on the left arm. Last but not least is the effect parts for the Lightning Noah. One charged, and the beam itself. The charged version uses the aforementioned gripping hands. It's pretty striking, all things considered. And then there's the Lightning Noah beam effect itself. Now, if you're familiar with how Ultraman SHFs handle their beam effects, this one is no different. Essentially, the hand is molded with the beam effect, which makes beam firing poses look more natural. I mean, sure, there are outliers, namely Tiga, whose Zeperion beam is fired from the forearm rather than the hand itself, but for the most part it's usually fired from the hand. Combine this with the left fist, and you have what I consider to be the most iconic moment in the entire final episode of Nexus. This one I don't really have much to say, considering this is pretty bog standard for a lot of Ultraman figures. Lastly, there's a magnet. This is designed to activate the LEDs inside the kit. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to replace the batteries in time for me to demonstrate this on screen. Thankfully, I took several pictures a few months ago that's supposed to demonstrate what it's supposed to look like. It's supposed to light up the energy core and the eyes. And truth be told, it's a lot more fitting here than how a lot of the Action Class Transforms kits did it. It's not bad, but I prefer how it's done here. For what is essentially my first foray into the Legend Edition, Ultraman Noah leaves a pretty good first impression. Sure, he comes with far less accessories compared to the last 2 releases, those being Zero and Blazar, but I think Legend Edition Noah is special to me for one particular reason. Noah himself at present not having any other good options out there. The Galaxy version doesn't really scratch that itch. The Ultra Act version from several years ago wouldn't necessarily fit in with your SHF collection due to the proportions and scale, and the Keyblade version isn't great by any means. I'm glad I was able to own this, because to me at least, this is the definitive Ultraman Noah. At least, for now. This probably wouldn't be the last time I'll be talking about Ultraman Nexus, though. If I'm able to afford them, and assuming I could actually find them, I'd be able to talk about the 2 Ultra Replica toys that came out. The 20th anniversary versions of the Evil Thruster and the Blast Shot, the Dark Evolver, and the Ultra 8 Chronicles Hyperstrike Chester. Oh, and most recently, back in November, the SHF Ultraman Nexus just got announced, so look out for that one. There's a lot I want to talk about regarding those releases, especially the Hyperstrike Chester and SHF Nexus. That all being said, what did you think of Legend Edition Ultraman Noah? Did it leave you with a great first impression of the Legend Edition? Or do you prefer the other kits in the Ultraman line? Drop your thoughts down below. Until next time, this has been the Photoverse Project.